behind.
Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, I walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Sunday. You're listening to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM. I just got to give all the shout out to all the listeners who've been listening almost every weekend. Congratulations to the last week's winner. Who was it last week or was it the week before? Week before, who won the free Wingstop gift card. I want to start incorporating and getting people involved in our show and stuff. So I think that was a good start.
It was, yeah.
You know, actually, when I was dropping off the gift card to him, he was telling me the story how he got the numbers mixed up. And, yeah, and I said, you got to be the first caller to call in. And then he was so bummed out because he realized it was the wrong number. He's like, oh, no. And then he redialed, and then, you know, he actually got it. So he was pretty stoked about it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just getting the community involved.
That's just another thank you to our listeners, too.
Yes.
You know?
And before we get started, we're going to be also giving a little shout out to our sponsor.
Yep. SNJRadio.com. No negative news, no politics, just feel good music.
And by the way, guys, when it comes to sponsorships, you guys can be part of the team. You guys can be a sponsor on this show. You guys can just contact us on our Instagram, kcaa.whateverworks.com, or email us.
Yeah, just email us, kcaa.whateverworks@gmail.
Yeah, and you know, you guys done this before. You guys heard us before. You know, we give our shout out sponsors like every 15 minutes and whatnot. But today is actually going to be a short day. It's going to be a half day. It is my girlfriend's birthday today, and we're going to
Happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday to her. We're going to be going out to dinner tonight. We made reservations at 8, her and a bunch of her friends. So I will have to be leaving here after the break. So without further ado, let's get into some topics. We were going to have a guest tonight. He's he's been on the show before.
Yeah, he's been on the show before.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
If you guys ever listened or ever heard of Jay Kasai,
Yeah.
you guys can go back on Spotify on KCA, whatever works, and listen to the replay of Jay Kasai. He's an awesome dude. He's very humble, cool at heart, and
he makes really good music.
Oh, some of the
he's always for the culture.
Yes, he actually invited us to one of his friends. What do you call that?
It was a show.
Yeah, one of his shows that he was throwing, and it was out in LA. It was definitely an experience.
Yeah.
For him and me and Kyle. So it's pretty cool.
That was your first local rap show you've been to, right?
Yes, it was. And I enjoyed every minute of it. I was a little nervous at first. Don't get me wrong.
Being in LA, going down a dark alley.
Yeah. And it's funny. Every time, there's a handful of times, I usually try to dress nicely, throughout the day and wherever I go. But sometimes when I go to, like, big events, I'm dressed up in sweats and tennis shoes.
Yep.
I did it at that show over in LA.
Yeah.
A little embarrassing because you look around, you see everyone else wearing like their nice clothes. They're dressed to impress, and I'm comfy. And then when I went to a movie award thing over in Beverly Hills.
Oh, okay.
I had the pleasure to step on the red carpet and take pictures
really?
of like Dr. Marissa and all that stuff. And that's on my Instagram as well. But again, I'm wearing sweats and tennis shoes, and I see everybody in suits and, dresses and outfits. But the funny thing was, like, no matter what, I'm going to stand out because when I was on that red carpet, everyone was looking at me. Maybe it was like, what is this guy doing? Like, why is he dressed like that? Or like, who is this guy? Because he's dressed like that. I don't have to dress all, in a button-up suit and tie,
Maybe they're thinking like, oh, he's just that rich.
Yeah, and it was like a Asian theme going on, and I have a little Asian in me, You know, so I'm
yeah,
assuming some of these people are like, oh, is he one of the actors? You know, things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's kind of funny. But I do want to make this show grow. And if you guys have any ideas about how I can make that happen, how I can interact with you guys, and what we can do to make this show more fun and appealing for you guys can just, like I said, go on KCAA, whatever works, on Instagram, and let us know. I know we have a lot of longtime listeners, so we just want to thank you guys for that. So, Mr. Kyle, the way things are turning now, like, did you hear? I heard it on the news a couple weeks ago that starting next year in January, I think fast food places are gonna be $20 an hour for their minimum wage.
It's interesting.
What
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I should change careers.
I should change careers.
That's pretty good. You know, if you can get a couple full-time jobs at $20 an hour, and get a couple roommates that do the same thing, you know, that's all you need.
Okay, so you're seeing the cup half full, right?
Yeah.
All right. So here's my thought on this. You know, every time minimum wage goes up, okay, who's affected by it? Not the big corporations. No. And I don't want to. We're going to talk a little bit about politics just because it's a concern of mine. Because I know a lot of people in today's age, like, they want to start a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if minimum wage keeps going up,
the cost of living keeps going up,
bro. Not even that, but small businesses cannot afford to pay employees minimum wage. All these big corporations, yeah, they can do it because they have the money for it. So you can just keep raising the minimum wage. Big corporations are not going to be hurt. It's the small businesses, the business that just started, you know, the family businesses that are just like, I can't afford to pay you minimum wage. So then the business fails, you know? So, but at the same time, because of AI and just technology itself, people have to reevaluate their lives.
Yeah. Anyway,
right?
yeah.
Like even me as a real estate agent, like, I mean, I don't know at this point, but maybe in the next 10, 15 years, you know, technology be so advanced that maybe you don't need a real estate agent, you know, or you don't even need to go through this whole process. Like things can change and shift, you know. And nowadays people are like, okay, instead of working, the best option is to be a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is awesome. Like,
yeah.
Kudos to everyone who's out there trying, because life is not like, you can't live a life without throwing a risk here and there. You know?
Exactly.
You can't be just playing it safe all day, because then you wouldn't really be alive. And I don't know if I said this on the air before, but, you know, Martin Luther King Jr. said it best. He said, most people die by the age of 25. We just don't bury them until they're 80.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's like, people just give up on their dreams. Like, working at McDonald's for $20 an hour, I mean, if someone who's chasing money, okay, that sounds nice, $20 an hour.
Right.
But like someone who is really trying to grow themselves and be the best version of themselves, you know, like, they can't be blinded by money.
Right, exactly.
You know, like, everyone has a dream, but no one, I don't know what it is. You know, when we had people from Woodhouse, the pizza place up in Ukiah Boulevard, when they came down, their story was awesome. You know, they both lived on the East Coast, and then they broke up, separated, because they wanted to just, you know, live their own lives. And then they just had faith in themselves, and they went all the way across the United States to California.
And they rematched.
To Ukiah, a matter of fact, you know?
Yeah.
And
that's fate. That's destiny.
they had nothing, you know, and they started this business.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are scared to even take the first step.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, and most people know the first step, which is the craziest thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like, for me, my first step in anything is just to like, listen to my conscience. You know, because that usually helps me guide my way through.
Right.
You know, I do like a lot of self-reflecting, which is could be bad at some points because sometimes you just need to relax.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
Yeah.
But even Priscilla, she's from India. Now, I haven't had her on the show yet, but she went back to India a couple weeks ago because her dad is having like medical issues. So she went back for 3 months to go take care of her dad. But she didn't know anyone out here, you
Right.
know? She was just getting a degree in India, and then she was like, all right, I'm going to America.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
now,
how it is.
dude, it's insane. And, like, I just encourage everyone to, like, don't be blinded just by the money. You know, there's
Exactly.
a lot more than just money, you know? And so
I agree, yeah.
you know, having connections on the radio, like things like this, like our sponsor, like SNJ Radio, you know, he built that from the ground up.
Yeah.
And, you know, he needs that extra help. You know, that's why he reached out to us. Like we are a radio station, we are a radio program, and it makes sense for him to be like, hey, I need help, you know, to build this business. But he went out there and he's doing it, you know, and
Yeah.
and we support that.
Exactly. We support small business here.
Yeah. Even we even like to partake in some of these things. Like if you guys have like a nonprofit organization to do like community service,
Mm-hmm.
Kyle and I would love to help.
Exactly.
We'd love to join. I went to Life of a Ministry and I fed over 100 people,
That's amazing.
you know, just for
Yeah.
the good of my heart. Now it was a little scary because all these, like, when I pulled up, it was over in Riverside, and the parking in the front was all packed. So the lady was like, "Hey, you park in the back," and I looked in the back parking lot, and like all these cars were just broken into, messed up, scratched, and I just see like a bunch of, you know, people in need, like homeless people, like right there on the side, and I was like, I did not feel comfortable leaving my car there, but I'm not gonna let that stop me from helping feed people in need, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And I had an amazing time. And actually, I met someone. His name's Townsend, and he's gonna be coming on our show. What was it?
In 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know, that's gonna be a good one because when I first met him, you know, he wasn't some angel, some saint. You know, he's kind of a thug, dude. He's a little
Yeah.
gangster, you know. And when I first met him, I was like, all right, you know, play it cool, yada yada yada. And then as I was like making this food and we're serving all these people, and then we got to sit down and eat, like you know, we actually started to have a conversation, and I realized like this guy really turned his life around, and he has his own testimonial, which I want him to come on the show and talk about it.
Right.
You know, when we had like testimonials, how like people who are listening on the radio, maybe it's not something educational, maybe it's not something that they're necessarily looking for to listen to.
Right.
But every once in a while, you know, the universe puts words and sounds in your life that you need to hear and see. You know,
Yeah.
when we had, what's her name? When she was, the lady who got shot when she was 6 years old and survived.
Yes,
Her
we
whole
had
family
her
died.
on. We had, what's his name on? Andre.
Yeah.
We had Andre on to give us testimony.
But with the lady, you got a phone call a couple days later?
Yeah, it was like 3 days later. She went through something similar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't as bad, but it was, if I recall, it was something like a domestic abuse situation,
Mm-hmm.
and her husband shot her,
Mm-hmm.
and she pretended she was dead,
Really?
and that's what saved her life. He just ran. So she called 911, and she said, "Yeah, I went through this." She gave this super long paragraph. I didn't want to read it. I was like, you know, like you always get those.
Sent you an essay.
And those are usually bad. Like those are usually like, you know, I hate you. Whoa. So I'm like, all right, here we go. What'd I say on the radio?
Right.
But no, I read this, and she's like, yeah, no, she really helped me, to help find for a couple things. One, she helped her kind of find closure a little bit more, but she also she was scared. She was gonna go find the officer that saved her,
Mm.
and so I think she lived somewhere up north, and so you know, stories like that you would think they're pretty unique, right? But everyone has something to take from them.
Yeah.
And if the right person listens, you could help them a lot.
Yeah, and all we need is one person.
All you need is one person.
Yeah. One person to save a life.
Yeah.
And we talked about a couple things like that on the show. But, if you guys ever want to come on the show, whoever's listening now, if you guys own a business or,
just want to tell a story.
Yeah, tell a story. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people who are out there willing to listen. That's one reason why we have radio, talk radio, first of all.
Yeah.
10:50 a.m. Shout out to that, because a lot of people, when they listen to the radio, they just want to listen to music. But sometimes, even, I hate to say it, nowadays, I don't really like listening to music that came out recently.
Oh, really?
I'm more of an old school type of guy. So talk radio is something that I would listen to.
Right.
Audio is something I listen to, especially if it's cool. But I'm going to be jumping around here just because I want to tell you about what happened this last week. I did an open house over in Redlands. And, I like to read books, but I'm not a fictional reader. I like nonfiction, and, it just helps me build my character up, I guess you can say,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
like autobiographies and all that good stuff. And there was a family that came in, and her mom was in a wheelchair, and she's older. She's like in her 70s. And I was showing her around the house, and she's like, "Oh, look at this bookshelf. This is great. So I can have all my books," right? So I was like, "Oh, you like to read? Like, what kind of books do you like to read?" And she was like, "Nonfiction," right? Because it's personal development. It's great, all that stuff. I was like, "Me too. I like that stuff."
Yeah.
And she was like, "But I have so many. When we were first thinking about moving, I didn't know how am I going to get rid of all these books, or what am I going to do with all these books?" And she was saying that some of her books are the most treasured things she has.
Mm-hmm.
She can let go of clothes, she can let go of furniture, certain items, but there are some books out there that's like so dear to her that probably changed her life, built her life, molded her life,
Yeah.
And we started to build this relationship, and I told her, I was like, there was this book that I read called Marcus Aurelius Meditations, which I recommend anyone to read. It's a really good book. And I told her, I was like, and my brother, he has a son now, and he named his son Aurelius. So I didn't want to do it, but I gave him the book, and I said, "Read this to your son. Like, you literally named your son after this guy, so read him this book,"
Yeah.
And that's a book that's, like, dear to me. But I also told her, I said, what is the point of having anything in life, knowledge, wisdom, even materialistic stuff,
If you can't share it.
if you can't share it?
Mm-hmm.
Your whole life is built around other people, not just yourself.
Yeah.
But on the other side, like, you have to build yourself for other people.
Exactly. There's a there's a podcaster I follow. He used to be a football player. Club Shay Shay is the podcast. And so he I forgot the position he played, but he played for the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And he was asked, what's something that you regret? He goes, I built up all this fame. To me, I was the best football player that ever lived. In my position, I reached the Hall of Fame, College Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame. But he said, you know what? I have no one to share it with. He said, that's one of the things that he regrets is starting a family early. But at the same time, he felt that it wasn't important to him at the time.
Right.
Football was life. Football was everything. And his older brother played in the NFL too. And he was talking about how when he won the Super Bowl with the Broncos in the 90s, how he gave his ring, his Hall of Fame ring, to his brother. And he said that, it meant more to me to give it to him because he never got that, and he always looked up to him like a father. And it was always about his brother, his older brother in the NFL, who's not in the Hall of Fame. But he feels his brother was the best player that ever lived and wasn't recognized. So when he won the ring, it was more important for him to give it to his brother than for him to say, "Hey, look what I earned."
Check it out. Look what I got, what you didn't.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I was actually telling my mom a couple weeks ago, I said, this is how I usually test people if they have, if they're good people in a sense, right? Like, for example, this is nothing crazy, but this is actually happening. I kind of use this throughout my life to see if someone is, But anyway, so my friend was like, hey, can I have an orange? I was like, yeah, sure. So I gave him an orange. And I expected him to give me a wedge, like an orange wedge. Because I gave him an orange in return for gratitude. Here's some of the orange back, But I don't ask about it though. I just wait. And if he eats the whole thing, that says something.
There's a psychological theory.
At a small scale, Joe's looking at me like, But if you pay attention to people, like there's a cute little kid. Well, are oranges really that great? It's the thought that counts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more about offering.
There's a movie called Klaus. It's a cool. I like it. It's a kid's like Christmas thing. But anyways, so this lady, she grows strawberries, and so she goes across her neighbor's house, gives her the strawberries, and then that neighbor, she makes strawberry jam, comes back, she's like, here you go, here's some strawberry jam. And then she comes back and she makes her a strawberry cake using that jam. You know what I mean? It's like that back and forth gesture that, makes people good.
Have you ever heard of the shopping cart theory?
No, what is that?
It's actual psychological theory. Okay. It says that you can build society based on people who return the shopping carts back to the corral.
Joe.
Do you ever hear about that, Joe?
Let's talk about it.
It's an actual, in psychology, it's an actual theory.
Okay, so how does it work, or what's the premise?
So you go grocery shopping. You get groceries, you check out, you put the groceries in your car.
Right.
They say there's one or two people. One, they take the shopping cart and put it in the corral, or they take it back to the store. Or two, they leave it on the curb or in the middle of the...
Mm-hmm. They just leave it where they're at, yeah.
And they said that just that small gesture, without thinking about it, you could tell someone's character.
Joe,
see, that's the thing.
Hey, there has been times where I'm like, ugh, like you see where the shopping carts are at, and they're so far, and you just don't want to do it. I do it every time, dude. I hate it, and there's only one time where I left the shopping cart, bro. I felt so guilty. I felt like I did something illegal,
bro.
I looked around like I hope no one saw me do that,
Yeah. But no, it's actual, in psychology. I learned this in psychology class. It's one way you can tell.
The utopia of all.
The utopia versus dystopia.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things that shopping cart theory is how you could tell.
Shopping cart thing. Joe. No, I seen Joe take back his shopping cart one time.
Yeah.
one time out of all the times, yeah. Man, that's interesting. I really want to do a show just based off theories.
Yeah.
Because I heard about this theory called the rat theory. And basically
by Jordan Peterson.
Yes.
Yeah,
and it's pretty cool. Can you explain it for the listeners?
Yeah, it's a theory. You get a whole bunch of rat. Well, first you dig a hole. You put 10, 15 rats in there. You come back later and there's one rat. And you add more rats. Leave, come back later, and there's one rat.
Okay, so
you do it 2 or 3, 4 times.
Can I stop you there real quick?
Yeah.
Because there's only the whole thing with the whole one rat at the end is because rats would eventually eat themselves if they're hungry.
Yeah.
So you put a whole bunch of rats in one area, and eventually they'll start eating each other for survival, and then there'll be one rat left.
Right.
Right. All right, continue.
And so you do it like 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times. And that last rat, you take it and you let him go. That rat's supposed to take care of the rat problem.
Yeah, because that rat will eventually just start eating rats.
Yeah.
So if you have a rat infestation of like in a city or something, you get the king of the rat.
Yeah.
The rat that just keeps killing and keeps eating all these rats, and then you let him loose. And then the theory is he'll go out there and start eating all the other rats because that's his new diet.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Joe, Joe, as much as you participate, you never come on the show with us. Yeah, if you guys ever watched us live, you would see Joe passing notes every few times,
There's another thing, too, I want to try. Is like goldfish. You know how they say they have like a 6-second
memory span?
Yeah, memory span.
Uh-huh.
This guy on YouTube was creating like mazes, and he got the goldfish to beat all the mazes. So you put like a little like treat on the other end. Goldfish are going through it, then they would forget where they're at. They go, okay, go this way. Okay, I got to backtrack. I don't know why I went that way. Eventually, he did the maze.
Mm.
And he reintroduced the maze like 5 times. By the 5th time, he went.
He memorized it.
Yeah. So he was able to prove that goldfish don't have short-term memory, but they do have long-term memory.
Interesting.
And so if you got to get past those obstacles, because they kind of just forget.
What if it wasn't long-term memory? What if it was just muscle memory?
It's probably muscle memory, yeah. There's a guy that I follow too. He did the same thing with squirrels, where he made this like jungle gym maze, and it was like they gotta like break through the bank. It was like different things. It was like cool, and if they fell, they had to start over.
Huh?
Go through the whole.
He's
thing.
like training these squirrels to.
He was training these squirrels to get this literal box of acorns. And eventually, and he did it in a way like the squirrels can't cheat. You have to go through this specific like structure to get it. Eventually, some squirrels got it down.
Really?
Doing it. Yeah, I gotta see the video. His name's Mark something. He's on YouTube.
Yeah, you spoke about like crows or ravens, how like intelligent they are because they know like what you want in return. You like they will get a treat. And like
that's true. Yeah,
there was
think about crows.
There was a video of this guy who literally taught the crow or the raven that he wanted money.
Yeah.
So this crow would go fly out in the streets in the city and find money on the floor, pick it up, return it to his apartment, and then the bird would get a treat.
Yeah.
And he had a drawer full of just money. I was like, that's so cool, bro. Like that's amazing,
Yeah. The same thing like with parrots. There's a YouTube video. There was trash, there was money, and there was like something else. Like I think rings. So there was a little trash can, like a piggy bank, and then like a drawer.
Mm.
And he would drop items, like drop a ring, and he would put it in the drawer. Drop trash, he would open the little trash can, put it in the trash can.
Really?
Drop a coin, put it in the piggy bank. And he just kept doing it over and over, like different sequences. It was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. We gotta give more respect to our animals and pets out there, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're not just there to be loud and eat, sleep, and
right. Yeah, exactly.
all that good stuff. So, yeah. All right, you guys, we are gonna finish up this show. Joe's gonna be doing a rerun of maybe 2 weeks ago when we had the mayor of Redlands, Eddie Tejeda. We do got to go, so take care, guys. Thank you again for tuning in and listening to us.
Yeah.
I am your host, Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
And you are listening to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. See you guys next week. Happy Sunday. God bless.
Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Yeah, hey, every day can be a better day despite the challenge.
From the Bureau of Economic Geology, this is Earth Date. Gravity is different in different places on Earth, and gravity can change when masses on or in the Earth shift, like in an earthquake or volcanic eruption, or when a polar ice sheet melts or calves into the sea, or even when groundwater levels change. It's this last one we'll take a closer look at from space. 15 years ago, NASA launched the Gravity Recovery and Climate Experiment, or GRACE. It's a pair of satellites with a codependency issue. Rather than measuring the Earth's surface, they keep track of each other. In particular, their exact distance from one another, down to the micron. When the first satellite passes over a place on Earth with greater gravity, it speeds up very, very slightly, and the distance between the satellites increases by less than the width of a human hair. When it passes over an area with lower gravity, the distance decreases. By tracking the expanding and contracting distances between each other over 2.5 billion miles of Earth orbits, the pair has given us a more accurate picture of varying gravity than ever before, which has revealed something very important. Humans have never been able to measure groundwater well, but by sensing the shifting gravity as the water is depleted, the satellites have found that, under many cities and deserts, groundwater reserves have declined by 2/3 since they started measuring, putting these communities at serious risk. With this remarkable data from space, we can better manage our water resources here on Earth. I'm Scott Tinker, and thanks for listening.
Earth Date is produced by the Bureau of Economic Geology at the University of Texas at Austin. Earth Date is researched by Julie Hennings, written by Harry Lynch, and distributed by Mark Blunt and Casey Walker. For more stories, follow us on Facebook or visit earthdate.org.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau Arco Super Tea helps build red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TahiboTeaClub.com.
It's a bird!
It's a plane!
No, it's Super Roth!
Okay, a gimmicky opening for a commercial about Super Roth Universal Life Insurance, but I'm sure it got your attention. Now, what is a Super Roth, you ask? It's a permanent indexed universal life insurance that's totally liquid and easily accessible once it matures. Can be used to supplement retirement savings or a death benefit, or both. Has no income or contribution limit. Has no 5-year rule like Roth IRAs. Has no 10% penalty for accessing the funds before age 59 and a half. Oh, and the average historical returns are 5 to 7% annually, tax-free. Super Roths also lock in gains, which means you don't lose your money when the market is down. Sounds incredible, right? Sounds super? Super Roths are the way of the future, specifically your future. To see if you qualify for a Super Roth, go online to thesuperroth.com.
Bob Vila here with my home improvement tip of the day. If your bathroom is looking a bit dated, but there's no room in your budget for a complete remodel, why not think in terms of small upgrades that'll spruce things up? One such project is replacing old discolored caulk around the bathtub with new fresh-looking silicone caulk. Start by applying some caulk softener to the old caulk and let it sit for a couple of hours. Once the old caulk's softened, use a stiff putty knife to remove it. Then, after getting rid of any remaining soap scum or debris, apply rubbing alcohol to kill any mildew that may have been lurking behind the old caulk. Once the area is dry, fill the tub with water to ensure it's fully settled, then apply a good quality silicone caulk. Make sure it's one that's especially made for bathrooms and contains a mildewcide. That'll help keep your tub looking clean and inviting. Get more info at bobvila.com and right here at home with me, Bob Vila.
Hey, feeling good,
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM. I'm your host, Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
Eddie Tejeda.
Eddie Tejeda. He is the mayor of Redlands, everybody. So
Mayor of Redlands.
definitely super excited to have him on. It was a surprise, but nothing like this is better because I love having shows where it's very genuine.
Yep.
You know, when I first started doing this podcast, Kyle and I, we had like all these, you know, bullet points and topics and all this stuff, and we realized it was very scripted. And once you finish all these questions, you still got more time on the air. It's like now it's kind of now we have to think outside the box.
Yeah.
You know, so for you to come in and I'm like, oh, like I didn't really know who you were. Now we get to know the listeners.
An authentic interview.
Yes, it's very genuine. It's not scripted, so I'm super excited. Before we get back into our topic, we are going to be doing a giveaway for a Wingstop gift card. You guys just call in, and the first caller gets this. You guys go to any Wingstop in your area, and that number is
888-909-1050. That is 888-909-1050.
Yes, and before we went on break, we're talking about that feeling of Redlands, of like the neighbors and, you know, the neighbors behind you, in front of you. We're also talking about the new projects that are coming up, commercial projects. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about the people in like the residential areas and what's getting built and what's getting done with, you know, the neighbors, so to speak.
Right. So that's a sensitive topic too for people of Redlands. I don't know if you remember, I think it was even in 2022 where 2022 where there was this Measure F about how high things can go and things like that and what the densities were. And that was our former mayor, rest in peace, you know, Bill Cunningham. Really good person, and he just wanted to make sure that the city didn't overdevelop and become this really populated town, you know, so that we kept our character. And so we need to respect that, you know. And but zoning is what zoning is. You know, that's how things get built. You know, there are areas in our city that are zoned for housing, and sometimes because of the housing needs, we were talking about the regional housing needs. You know, if developers do certain things, they get to have density bonuses, meaning more houses. And so we do have new developments coming in, programmed for the vacant areas by Tennessee Street and Ligonia and San Bernardino Avenue, right?
So across the street from the Home Depot.
And I don't know if you've seen the new development that's coming in north of Citrus Valley High School. Yeah,
that needs to get developed.
Yeah.
There's some open land there that we can definitely use some stuff for.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. And so that was the old citrus farmers that said, you know what, there's no money in citrus anymore, or it's not as lucrative as they want it to be. So they just let their fields die and
I remember that.
You know, plow them over and wait for somebody to want to buy it. And so they're coming. We already have that project coming in. We just looked at another project that is just to the...
Hi, you guys are listening to Whatever Works on KCA. Is this the caller?
Yes, hi.
Hey, how you doing? Are you here for the Wingstop free gift card?
Yes.
Awesome. What's your name?
Marco.
Marco, where are you from?
Ukaipa.
Hey, check that out. Awesome.
Marco,
we got some from Ukaipa. Hey, Marco, quick question. If you were listening and paying attention, who's our guest tonight?
It is the Redlands mayor. I do not remember his name.
Go ahead. What's your name?
Eddie Tejeda.
Don't forget it, Eddie Tejeda.
Eddie Tejeda. Okay,
Yes.
I'll remember that.
Awesome. Well, hey, congratulations, Marco from Ukaipa.
Congrats,
You got
Marco.
yourself a free Wingstop gift card.
Thank you.
All right. Just hang on tight. We're going to put you on hold, and then Joe's going to get your contact information, okay?
Amazing. Thank you, Works. Thank you, Whatever Works.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening.
You're welcome.
So I know Ukaipa is developing a large amount of new housing because it's definitely needed. I haven't heard too much of Redlands.
Yeah.
But you're saying the north side of Redlands is getting more developed in terms of housing?
Right.
Are they making any apartments in the area?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's apartments scheduled for those areas. Those are projects, and if anybody is interested, you can go to the city website and go to the planning department. Where, the website will have a list of different departments. If you go to the planning, it'll say projects that are approved and projects that are coming up. and you can see a list of all the
Picture.
projects there, and there are apartments involved. Speaking of that, there is on the corner, well, semi on the corner of Ligonia and Texas Street. There's it's called Liberty Lane,
Yeah.
and that's for veterans who were formerly unhoused, who are recovering from whatever condition they have, whether it's PTSD or substance abuse or whatever. And that's being built by a community of friends and not-for-profit who specializes in providing wraparound supports
That's amazing.
and housing for veterans. So that's going to get built. I think it's going to be about 98 units
Oh, wow.
there. Yeah, and some of it's going to be for affordable housing as well. So, it's good to see that that all of the vacant land is getting developed so that we can say that we have X amount of people in our community. And eventually, we're going to get built out. At that point, we won't. It depends on whether or not developers come in and buy up a swath of homes that they can do something else with.
Right.
So
What's the population of Redlands?
it's a little over 73,000.
73,000.
Wow.
That's about 20,000 more than Yucaipa.
Wow.
Do you know the size of Redlands of like in comparison to
No.
other cities?
No.
Because Redlands is actually a pretty decent sized city.
It is.
Yeah, it's okay.
In terms of like mass and volume, because Southside is a beautiful part of Redlands. It's very historical. It's the little quiet town, and then you got State Street, which is almost the center, the heart of Redlands, basically.
Yeah.
And then you got the North Side, which is getting developed and getting worked on and stuff like that. I mean, if you guys are listening from Riverside or for Colton or Corona or anything, if you guys haven't been to Redlands, I definitely say come check it out. It definitely has some character.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Umbrella Alley.
Yeah. Umbrella Alley.
The downtown Ed Hales Park, where you see all the music getting played. We just had a new Finney's open up right on the corner of
Finney's. Really?
Redlands,
I didn't know about that.
Redlands and Orange Street. Yeah.
It's funny because, Yeah. Because I'm a realtor at Century 21 over in Yucaipa.
Okay.
And Finney's is the first floor, and then Century 21 for Redlands is the top floor. So all the agents just take the elevator down and they're in the restaurant at Finney's, So
yeah, definitely.
It's funny. It cracks me up because Redlands is known for its nightlife or its activities and stuff like that. And having Finney's, like there's a strip, like you can go bar hopping on one side of the street, but now Finney's is across the street from that, So now it's not just sticking to one side. Now you can start going around.
Right.
There's
Well, it used
also
to be like
Septembers
that.
and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Man, there's actually a lot of cool places.
There is.
For sure.
I went to Shanghai Bistro today.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Oh man, I was like, I was thinking it was gonna be very traditional. I thought it was gonna be like dark, small little teacups, very modern, and it's actually really cool. I liked it. There's certain areas of Redlands that I have like a heart for. Southside is one of my favorites just because of the historical Victorian homes,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
like the parks over there, and how, like, there's different cities where if you see people walking down the street, it just two things, right? But Redlands, if you see people walking down the street, because it's a beautiful place, they're walking their dog, they're riding bikes, Other cities, if you see people walking the streets, they're like homeless or like tweaking, you know what I mean? And so there's a huge difference when it comes to the people being outside in the city. And Redlands has the opportunity. I mean, the weather and everything is just the maintenance, all that. It's really amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And we have our fair share of homeless individuals that we try to reach out to. We just got an additional like $4 million, a little bit over $4 million, that we're gonna pump into homeless outreach. We're using that to enhance we have a coordinator who goes out and just tries to hit as many homeless encampments or homeless people as he possibly can to offer them services and offer them shelter.
Yeah.
So
that was actually my next question I wanted to ask you. Has there been an increase or a decrease in homeless in Redlands?
So the theory is that because there's more technology involved, that there's better data being taken and that there hasn't been an increase. But I've lived in this town, as long as anybody else has, and I've seen an uptick in that. And I think A lot of it has to do with the fact that we just opened in November, I believe, of last year, the transitional homeless housing right here off of is this industrial right here, industrial park. So across the way where the Metro Nissan is, there used to be a Good Night Inn.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
right.
now it's called Step Up in Redlands, and so that's a transitional homeless housing facility. And so once they knew we were getting ready to open that, I started to notice an uptick in people. I live close to the wash that's over here.
Okay, yeah.
I live over that area, and so I just see them. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Multiple encampments just coming up, and literally I saw this person being dropped off in a van.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, hypothetically speaking, because there's more programs and projects of people helping the homeless out, now people are saying, hey, I can be homeless because I know I'm getting taken care of. Is that what it's kind of like? That's kind of like
I think what you're
like
seeing now is the people who are choosing to be homeless are not accepting, and we hear that from the police department and even our homeless coordinator. The people who are homeless are choosing to be homeless and off the grid, and or people who want to be off the grid and homeless because they just have some sort of condition, either a substance or it's mental, and they're just not able to accept the services that we have. Yes, couch surfing counts as homelessness.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't have a place to call your own.
Also, students too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of youth that are homeless that couch surf at their friends' house.
That is so true.
Yeah.
And they get counted. And where they answer honestly, and the intent is where there's a person who wants to have some sort of supportive housing or to have an affordable place to live, there's probably a spot for them in our community, in the services that we have. But if there's folks that just don't want to be helped, then it's not a crime to not accept help.
Right.
So they're out there.
What would you say is one of the biggest things that you guys are battling now, especially as mayor, that you are trying to fix or even solidify with,
I'd say, there's been an uptick in small crimes like thefts, burglaries, and any crime that happens to you is not a small crime. I just mean in the grand scale of things. Obviously, murder is the heaviest, but the small crimes of
like vandalism,
burglary, vandalism, there's been an uptick in that, and it's just, I think, a matter of tweaking the legislation in the state, to make sure that they're accounting for, criminals who are organized, because there is such a thing as organized crime, right? To account for the people that organize themselves in a criminal manner, and hold them accountable for those, multiple small crimes that they're committing. That
the biggest,
like you
thing
said, you
right
were talking
now-
about safety earlier.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest thing right now is catalytic converter thefts.
Oh yeah.
There's YouTube videos out there that people do it under 10 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I actually so it was actually over
Did it happen
here.
to you?
No, it didn't happen to me, but it was over here, and I hear some noise going on outside, and I thought it was the maintenance guy working in the parking lot, and I was gonna go grab something out of my car, but I was talking to a friend. I hear the noise, whatever. I walk outside. I look to my left, and I see the maintenance golf cart onto the left side of the parking lot, but I heard the noise on the right side of the parking lot. and then as soon as I walk out and I look right, this guy is coming out from underneath the car, throwing stuff into his vehicle, and then just taking off.
Yeah.
And I was like, did I just experience some guy, just sawing off a car inverter? So I went to the gym here across the parking lot, and I was like, hey, what's going on, bro? I was like, hey, whoever has a black Honda, I think they took your converter. And then he was like, what, again? I was like, wait, again? I was like, because last week they did that to his wife's car.
Oh my god.
So he runs out there, he goes underneath his car, and he's just cussing a storm. I was like, they took your converter? He's like, yeah, da-da-da-da. And I was like, man, that's crazy. Because if I would have known or recognized that sound, but I mean, it doesn't happen that often. You know.
Well, and
in front of you.
Or in front of you. Yeah.
In front of you.
But it's like so common now. It can happen in front of you.
Yeah.
And you don't know.
Yeah.
It'll happen at Stater Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was a couple instances at the Stater Brothers on the Mentone border where they've had their cat stolen.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the most valuable converter is a Prius because it has titanium inside the converter.
Oh my God!
So when they sell it, you know, they're selling for the all my listeners are good people, I promise.
All 15,000.
Yeah, they just came back from church. You know, they're doing good.
No, we're good.
Yeah. So what are you most excited for Redlands as far as growth?
I'm excited to see, you know, the developments that I was talking about. Well, you know, the State Street Village.
Mm-hmm.
There's also 2 other ones that are within that vicinity. I'm excited to see those get done because it's going to change the atmosphere downtown. You're going to see a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah.
You know, people are worried about, you know, the automobile traffic, but there's definitely going to be a lot more foot traffic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people walking over to Sprouts or walking over to Trader Joe's or walking over to Vaughn's, you know, or walking downtown to get something to eat, you know, using some stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And it's going to be great to hear from the downtown businesses who are, you know, just anxious. They're worried because of the parking issue, and we understand that. We're working on, you know, trying to find a partner so that when we do move into our new city hall facilities, that we're able to do something with our old city hall facility, which I hope gets to be another parking structure, because we, you know, our business is downtown. You know, they were built in the old way where they went from property line to property line, and they didn't have any parking requirements, right? So the city is footing that sort of bill, so to speak, by providing public parking.
Yeah. And
they're all fighting for those spots because everybody's business, you know, relies on that front door. So redeveloping our old city hall, I'd love to get to that point where we just make it happen.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I was actually, what I was thinking about today when I was trying to find parking to go to the restaurant, Shanghai Bistro, I was thinking about it. I'm so happy that we don't have to worry about parking meters. You know, like you go to LA or anything like that, everywhere you go, you're spending money just to park, you know, and here we don't have that.
Yeah.
Well, knock on wood, we don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
there's been
I say that now, and now they're like, hey, let's put them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I'm throwing all the ideas
that's
out
a good
there.
idea.
So now that I think about it, you know, so I'm definitely super excited. I'm really happy to have you on, and you know, having the people hear what's going on and what you're doing and who you are, right? Because it's important for the people to know who's running what.
Yeah.
And as the mayor of Redlands, people should know who you are, even outside of Redlands.
Yeah.
You know, all your neighbor cities, Yucaipa should know who's running Redlands. Redlands should know who Yucaipa is running. You know, so it's not focused just on yourself. You're focused on the bigger picture. Right. And so I want to thank you for coming on. We do have to close up shop.
Sure.
But Eddie, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. You guys listening to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM. I'm your host, Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
Eddie Tejeda.
And we'll be back next week, guys. Happy Sunday, and stay tuned for the next show, the Ferran Dozier show. Sorry, I was a little tongue twisted there. All right, you guys, stay blessed and happy Sunday.
Good night, everybody.